Number 2, where are you currently located in the world? And number 3, what are you currently doing in your professional career?
We also have Rakhi. Is it Rakhi from our team? Hi Virat, hi Vasan, Sunil. You can see a lot more. Jiva, Carmen, Ashwin, Amsa, Amit. There's Amit, Pratibha. Hi Pratibha. Okay.
So we are
And
live on
Shivansh
YouTube.
wants, we're live on YouTube. Okay, brilliant. Okay. Brilliant. Hi everyone. I think we are live currently on YouTube, and we are live I think on LinkedIn as well, and we are live here on GoTo webinar with me. I have a lot of you guys here. If you're watching this as a replay, fast forward to 5 minutes because I will be starting in 5 minutes. In the meantime, Sunil have introduced himself he's mentioned that he's 15 plus years of IT experience. How this will help, learning this Oracle Cloud will help. I have this specific question that I'm going to cover. If you have any career related question, be it like, as Sunil asked, how this certification, how exam preparation will help me. Is certification mandatory? That's also a very good question. I'm going to cover that. Is certification mandatory? In order to mandatory and certification preparation help will also be provided. If you're talking about, we'll cover that. But and then is certification helpful? We'll cover that as well. Is it mandatory to get a job? Answer is no. Will it help in getting a job? Absolutely. So like that, someone asked, why Oracle Cloud, or who should do Oracle Cloud? There's other questions like, I'm 50 years of age. Can I still learn it? Is it worth for me? Which cloud I should be picking? I'm in a DBA. What is the right certification for me? So the questions like these, we are going to cover that as well. So if you're not introduced, tell me and post your questions as well, either related to career, either related to technical, non-technical, and we are going to cover all the common questions as well. We'll come back here in literally 3 minutes or so. Let's start and we'll open up this session. Till the time, Sunil will coming up as well. We'll be answering yours. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. So guys, I see a lot of you guys are now joining in. So make sure whichever platform you're watching, that you introduce yourself in the chat window by answering these 3 questions for me. Number 1, what is your name? Number 2, where are you located currently in the world? And number 3, what are you currently doing in your professional career? So guys, make sure that you answer these 3 questions for me in the chat window of whichever platform you're watching, so that we at K21 Academy can get to know you guys better. And we will be starting in around 1 minute or so. So again, if you guys have any questions, any career related doubt, any technical doubt regarding Oracle, make sure you put them down in the chat window so that we can pick them up maybe before we start the session, or maybe in the intermediate. We have different sections where we pick up your questions, so we're going to be picking them there. So make sure that you are asking your questions directly in the chat window.
Hey, Shivansh, I'll take control in the next 10-15 seconds. Those who have recently joined, guys, go and like tell me your questions as well. It's not just being here, but also ask questions. Make this session interactive. We'll be covering. Oh, sorry. We'll be covering a lot of interview questions and the common career-related questions as well. If you're watching that, fast forward it 10 seconds or 10-15 seconds now, and yeah, we'll be starting literally. Hi, Sandeep. I can see from YouTube. Mr. Niju, welcome here. Let me share my screen. Let me show.
So I've
Let me
given you
know
the
what's
access.
brilliant. Let me know if you can see my, if they can see my screen. Just let me know.
They can.
Okay, great. And then it's moving to the next one as well. Just leave it in a comment. Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Hi, everyone. This is Atul. My name is, as I said, Atul. I have with me another cloud expert, Amit. I have in total around 22 years experience in Oracle. Last couple of years have been on multi-cloud, doing not just Oracle, but AWS and Azure cloud as well. And today we are here on to, not sure where, yeah, how to prepare. Okay, how to prepare for this Oracle cloud interview questions, or how to prepare for Oracle cloud and get a higher paid jobs. Few housekeeping. You all, if you're in GoToWebinar, you all are muted from our side. If you're watching it on our social channel, YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, just let us know and introduce yourself. Where are you from? And what is your objective and questions you have, whether it's related to career, whether it's related to technical, whether it's related to, is it right for you, or your background that you want to share and discuss and have a question for me or Amit or anyone from my team. I'll try to take as many questions as we can. We have a strict agenda and we also have a strict timeline that we want to wrap it up in 1 hour. If for some reason we can't finish it in 1 hour, we might have some subsequent sessions in, but 1 hour should be more than enough. The important bit is that the tips, we are also going to do the review, etc. So let me straight away go onto the slide and look at and show you what exactly we are going to cover. Some of you guys have already asked the questions. We are going to cover, I'm going to cover those questions as well as at each logical point. So what we'll be going to learn is that first I'm going to highlight some of the questions. We received a lot of questions when we asked from you guys, if you're part of our email list. And thank you for if you posted your questions. And if you still have not posted your question, even if you're watching as a replay, post them in wherever place you're watching, so that my team will pick up and will pass on those questions to me. I can see only some questions from YouTube already. Prandesh Ghosh is saying, my question is, what is a better cloud career path for 𝐴𝐵𝐶 DBA? Is brilliant. I myself have been 𝐴𝐵𝐶 DBA, so I can guide you. So that's coming. Good question. So your career or cloud related question will also look at Oracle cloud job opportunities. What are the job options available for Oracle cloud? Then 4 things you must know for getting a higher paid cloud job. I have interviewed and have prepared more than 10,000 individuals for cloud. And one common question I've come is why people lack or could not clear the interviews are because of self-confidence. So I'll explain you as all those things. But 4 of the key things keep coming back again and again. So if you at least focus on those 4 which are non-technical, rest all things will fly easily. We'll also look at CV preparation tips for cloud-related jobs. We'll also give you a sample, or we'll share the sample CV, and we'll say that how I've seen some of the not so good CVs which have been come to for my attention, and then what you can do or after you modify that CV, not by faking it, but highlighting the things that you have done as per the job descriptions. We'll also be looking at a certification once, like the certification for Oracle Cloud, and then the common questions you will get pretty much in almost every interview. At least 3 or 4 questions from those will definitely come under interview, any interview that you do for cloud. We'll also talk about 8-week learning path and 30+ hands-on lab. We recommend to go from a complete beginner to an expert in Oracle Cloud. The program is the session that you're attending today is absolutely free. We'll also explain you that how you can take it, whatever you're learning, to the next level from here. So make sure that you post your questions. Some of the questions we get was, I don't have any cloud experience. How will I get a job without cloud experience? Some guys have a myth or have a perception that they won't get a job without experience. That's totally myth. I am proof of that. When I started cloud, I think 5-6 years back, I had no idea about cloud. I have hundreds of other guys who know nothing about cloud, but in order for you to get experience, you have to do some hands-on. That hands-on you can do freely on the cloud account itself. That I'll show you as well. So common myth that you should have experience, not correct. You should have a knowledge. You should definitely have a hands-on lab. How you can get out, we'll be talking about. Like that, we have a lot of questions. We'll be taking these questions as we come across different things which you come across. So things like, I'm an Oracle Apps DB, or I'm Oracle DBA, or I have this background, or what is the right certification for me, and so on. So we'll try to take as many questions as possible. These are some of the questions that have come across. We'll cover that. Most of them we'll try to cover today. We also will look at CV related questions, like how long your CV should be, or I don't know, maybe I only know 60 or 70% of what's being asked in job description, which is very common. So how do you handle those as well? What is the length of the CV and so on? Those questions, all of those, we'll be covering that as well. So before we move forward, first of all, very quickly, who this session is for. So if you're an architect, whether it's an infrastructure architect, cloud architect, application architect, cloud engineer, system engineer, or system administrator, storage administrator, network engineer, infrastructure, database administrator, security engineer, or you're migrating to applications to cloud, or even a fresher or a beginner who's looking for cloud jobs. So I just need your input in terms of, let me know what's your background so that I can focus or highlight things more if I see more of a particular type. You say that I'm a beginner in cloud, or I'm an architect, but I'm beginner in cloud, or I'm already working in cloud, but struggling to get a job. I'm a database administrator, or I'm a security engineer, and so on. So put in the chat window. You have a lot of guys are here, and let me take 1 or 2 questions so that I can pick up this. One question is Sunil is saying, will any cloud expert need a IAC? IAC, for those who are not clear, IAC stands for Infrastructure as a Cloud Skill Set 2. So Sunil, if you're a beginner, then to begin with, you don't need to do infrastructure as a code, which is a automation or cloud automation. But as you mature, as you move forward in your journey, then having a infrastructure as a code or having a automation, cloud automation will definitely help, or that knowledge will definitely help. And that is where the Terraform comes into picture. Another question I'm going to pick up. So let me know, sorry, put in the chat window as well, guys, where are you from? Oh, sorry, what's your background? I see a lot of apps DBAs and DBAs, and also Oracle background as well. So let me know, identify yourself so that I can understand and we can see. Arthav is saying, I'm currently in MCA. How should I start? We'll be covering that as well. For beginners, we'll be covering what you should be doing as a beginner. So let me know what's your background, and we'll be taking up, also put it into the comment section as well. So now this session assumes that you have following already have the skill sets, and the skill sets are identity and access management, overview with respect to Oracle Cloud. You know familiarity of users, groups, policies, and compartments. These are building blocks of. Second, from a compute point of view, you know virtual machines and containers and Kubernetes. From a networking point of view, you know basic of virtual cloud network, subnets, gateways, network interface cards, routing, fast connect, VPN connect, etc. From a storage point of view, you know object and block storage. From a database point of view, you know the basic overview of databases. From a security point of view, you have an understanding of security solutions that are available in cloud. And from a governance point of view, you're familiar with auditing, logging, and monitoring. Now, the question might come, oh, if I'm already familiar, then I'll get a job. Answer is yes. But not everyone who is here is already familiar or know these things. And that's why it's totally okay if you don't know these things. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell you how you can learn all these things quickly. Now, before I move forward and before I tell you, we cover the interview questions. First and the most important thing, when I learned this couple of years back, I follow, this is a book written by brilliant my coach, Marie Forleo, and she has a wording called everything is figureoutable. Everything is figureoutable. So you can figure out everything. So you don't need to start with and say, most of the time people worry and say, hey, I don't know this, and so I won't be able to do this. But whereas I see that pick up a thing and start working on this, you can figure out everything. And that's what I did a couple of years back, that I started with some very, very basic key important things, and then learned most of the things on this journey. This is where me, not very long back, just in 2014 or 15 is when 2015 I started learning Oracle Cloud. And I was among the first few ones who started learning cloud. And it was very rare skill at the time, but that gave me an advantage of picking up things on cloud. And so I just 6-7 years back had knew nothing about cloud. And also for now, it's not too late. It's very, very early stage. Cloud is very, very still at infancy stage. So you can pick up things as well as you go ahead. So you can figure out if you don't know. For those who don't know me, very quickly, my name is Atul. I have 22 years of experience working on data. I used to started my career as a database administrator in Oracle, but have now last few years have been working on multi-cloud. What I'm most proud of is that I've helped 10,000 plus individuals like you to learn cloud and cloud-based technologies. We help our customers to migrate their applications to different cloud, including Oracle, Azure, AWS, and so on. I'm also part of one of the biggest migrations based in UK here, just to show whatever you're going to learn is basically coming from real experience from you guys. But as I said, these are the basic things. I knew nothing when I started. I think, as I said, back in 2013, 14, 15, I knew nothing about. 2015 is when I started my journey onto the cloud. So I can figure it out. I think that's a mantra. In terms of infrastructure, these are the things basically you should be learning from a cloud point of view. The architecture or application infrastructure, whatever you used to do on premise, you do on the cloud as well. Now, I'm not going to cover these in detail today here from an architecture point of view, but when we look at the interview questions, we'll cover some of them if you're already familiar with this. So then, from a networking point of view, we did a session, I think last week, and probably I might be having some more sessions about networking. This is very, very important from a cloud point of view, especially if you're going for multi-cloud. And again, I don't come from networking background, but I picked up, and you can pick up very easily. You don't need to become an expert in networking, but some of the basic questions like virtual cloud network, what is that network stands for? What are the public and private subnets, or what are the subnets stands for? And then firewall, which is nothing but allowing specific port numbers across different subnets so that your application can talk to the database and so on. Also, connectivity with on-premise. How do you connect these applications with on-premise using different methods? One is IPsec, we say site to site, or fast connect methods as well. Or how do you connect to the storage for your backup and restore point of view? So the networking is important. Again, I'm brushing these things. I'm assuming you know, and if you don't know, as I said, we'll give you an opportunity on how you can learn all these things quickly. Then second thing you should be familiar. There are 5 things. The second thing you should be familiar with is identity and access management, where you know users, groups, compartments, resources. Compartments, where compartment is a logical collection of all your resources, which is resources nothing but your storage, networking, databases, and so on. And then you apply some policies that dictates who, which is the end user or a group of users, can do on this, where you say only the administrators can, or the DBAs can create databases, whereas network engineers can create network resources and so on. So familiarity with identity and access management. Then in terms of compute, how do you do virtual machines and bare metal and containers and Kubernetes as well on this. Similarly, from a storage point of view, there are 3 different storage options like block storage, file storage, and object storage. How do you configure them, and then connect them with your the virtual machines or containers and Kubernetes as well. From a database point of view, I see a couple of questions coming from the database administrators, which are saying that they are DBAs and apps DBAs. So what are the Oracle database deployment options available on cloud? Which one you're going to implement on what scenarios? These are a couple of interview questions that might come across, which we'll see that as well. How do you do high availability and disaster recovery on the Oracle cloud for databases and applications and so on? Then from a security point of view, what are the security solutions? And now security is key. If you can answer a couple of questions on security, what you do to implement security in your solutions, How do you protect your databases? What are the different layers of security that you can implement? So things like your Bastion service, which is introduced, or you do network level security, or you implement something called as Cloud Guard, or security zones and policies so that you can be alerted and so on. So security services. And then final thing you need to be knowing is governance and management, like in terms of monitoring, auditing, and logging. And this is, I'm assuming that you know or you can learn all this quickly on this point. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go into more right now at this minute. I want to bring the questions, and then I'll probably look at and see what I did to start on this journey and what you can do on in terms of numbers, etc. So, as I said, if you don't know these things, you can figure it out these things on your journey, but focus on upgrading your skill and pick up the cloud point of view. And then again, these are some of the success stories of the guys who have got the jobs in cloud, which we'll be talking about once we cover the interview questions for you. The common concept is, as I said, there are hundreds and hundreds of guys who have done these, learned this, implemented it, and have done, and you can do it well. So the common mantra is, as I said, it's most of the time, first 1 or 2 years is going to be all about mental strength, about believing in yourself that I can do it. Because most of the time people, they don't believe in themselves that they can do it. And as long as you have believed that if they can do it, if I can do it, or say if others have done it, if I think I can have done it, hundreds of others have done it, you can do it too as well. So I'll be talking about these in this roadmap, about 8-week roadmap, as well as some of the hands-on lab that you should be performing to learn all this. We'll be covering that as well. I'll also talk about the free class towards end on how you can attend another free class in terms of to become what all things where I mentioned about to you is the networking part and other things that we have covered. I will talk about that as well on. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to okay, no, let me continue here, and then I'll tell you about and I'll hand it over to Amit, who will be talking about these interview preparations as well. So first of all, I think the common myth or common things I get is, hey, are there even job available onto the Oracle Cloud, or who should be doing Oracle Cloud? So if you look at the cloud computing market, it's growing aggressively. You all are here. That shows that you know and understand that cloud is the future. I started this 6-7 years back. I consider myself a little bit late, but then if I look at my numbers, I think it's just a very, very infancy stage at this right now in minute. There's a lot to grow from here. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Oracle customers, especially in last 2-3 years. There are more than 19,000 customers who are using Oracle Cloud currently. So there's a huge customer base on that from Oracle customers' point of view. And these jobs are going to grow only. So if you're an Oracle DBA, if you're an Oracle Apps DBA, if you're working on anything on Oracle, or if you want to start your journey into Oracle Cloud, or if you're working on other cloud and would like to go onto the multi-cloud, I think that is where you should be focusing on. I think if you just want to search on, just Google on Oracle Cloud jobs in your country, and you'll be able to see hundreds and hundreds of jobs, especially all the databases, Exadatas, e-business suite, Fusion middleware, Oracle Fusion middleware, Oracle applications, all of them are moving towards Oracle Cloud as well. So I'm not going to go on to this. I'm going to focus a couple of 4 things, and then I'll hand it over to Amit for this. So the first and the most important thing is the common misconceptions, common myth is that you will never ever get 100% match of your requirement. So when you get a job description, first thing to pick up is what you know and what you don't know. And focus on, as long as you have a 60% match on a CV preparation on the CV, then start applying for that. Not every job is right for you. So as long as when you pick up the CV and see what all things you know and what things you don't know, if you know 60%, apply. If you don't know 60%, see where the gaps are, and then try to pick up, try to learn that and implement. Till date, I myself don't know 100% of this. Me being working for so long, I've not come across anyone who knows everything in cloud. Cloud keeps changing. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that it's not all about job in terms of that not everything you're going to do will be done by a single person. So different person have different skills. So you might be good in databases and you can pick up the database part. Someone will be good in security, they'll become security part of the cloud. So as long as you know the basic concepts and as long as you're good in one part of the cloud, you should be good. You should be able to find a job and enter into the job. And then you can pick up and learn other things. This is the most important thing, confidence. And in whether you do an interview, whether you for a job, the confidence is the most important thing. That is where the a lot of students fail, or a lot of students they don't feel confident, or they don't work. They most of the time they fail in the interviews because of the confidence. And the most important point, because of that, this confidence will come when you perform the hands-on labs. And the hands-on lab, you can, with cloud, you can perform these hands-on lab on your on your cloud account. So we'll be talking about that, the labs which I'm going to talk about. And then the fourth and the most important, another most important, is the appetite to learn. With cloud, you have to constantly learn. If you're not upskilling yourself, if you're not growing, if you're not learning, you will not be able to pick up, or you'll not go far. So make sure that you keep learning these skills. I know these four things sounds obvious, but trust me, a lot of guys don't do that. These are the basic things which don't people lack. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Amit, who's going to talk about the certification tips and also before and after CVs and so on. And I'll be helping Amit as well. Now, Amit, he has 20 plus years experience on DBA, apps, DBA cloud. He's working with a lot of customers in terms of migrating and helping them to cloud. He's again also multi-cloud. He also does with us not only this Oracle Cloud, but Cloud DBA, Oracle Cloud DBA, as well as Terraform and other programs. Again, brilliant instructor. I'm going to hand it over to Amit, and I'll be taking up one or two questions. Shivansh, any question for me before we move on, or we pick up and we continue from here? Amit, I'm making a
So
presenter.
we can pick at least one question. We've
Yep.
got a question from Sunil as to, will any cloud expert need IAC skill set too?
Yeah, I think I've covered that. IAC, I've covered that. Infrastructure as a code for those automation will help. A lot of companies these days are asking, so if you have a knowledge of Oracle, automation, infrastructure code, yes. There's one question as well asked initially when we were doing, I said I'm going to cover that. Maybe let's take this opportunity to ask that question, answer that question, which was Sunil. Sunil was saying that I have 15 years experience and how this program, how this Oracle Cloud will help. So Sunil, in terms of you're already working as a Oracle database, all the Oracle databases, especially the Exadatas and the virtual machine normal databases, the applications, Oracle Fusion Middleware, Oracle eBusiness Suite, all these things we have seen, or any new implementations are happening to cloud. Any hardware refresh that's happening, they are going onto the cloud. I'm working with number of customers. They're all migrating their Exadatas to cloud, or their applications to cloud, PeopleSoft JD Edward to cloud. So that's where the jobs are. If you see now, you won't see much on-premise jobs with respect to Oracle. They are all moving towards cloud. So having a cloud knowledge, if you've not started your journey, you must start it. I think I've covered. Okay, Marsa is saying human resource want to be Oracle SCM. Okay, so Oracle SCM is a separate program. We are not talking about Marsa, about Oracle SCM. That's a different program. Okay, over to you. Let's Amit, over to you.
Yep, thanks Atul, and welcome everyone. This is Amit here. I hope my screen is visible, Atul.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, so we have seen, about why you need to learn cloud, and excellent explanation and details from Atul. Let's start with our CV preparation tips. Okay, because the CV is basically the first thing through which you will be introduced for the job via recruiter or to the hiring manager. So that is the first point where you need to be very, very cautious. And for that, I will just give you few tips which is going to make your presence in lots and lots of CV. Your presence will be visualized separately, and you will be get more job offers on that. So let's see about it. So preparation tips is one size doesn't fits all. So you need to have basically different CVs for different jobs. Okay, you need to basically undergo the requirement. What about the job description? What has been asked, and whether your CV is aligned with that or not. Maybe you might have done a lot of things on the certification side. You know it all, but the way you present it, you need to make it align with the job description. Okay, don't put so many things on your CV. Don't repeat the things. Maybe you need to understand what is the demand, and according to that, you need to put the stuff in your CV, and then you need to proceed. Okay.
Just to, yeah, thanks, Amit.
Yeah.
Just to add to Amit's point, what we are trying to say is don't fake it, don't lie anything on the CV, but then don't put stuff that is not relevant to employer. If because what happens, what's happening right now is, Amit, if you can make it full screen, that will be helpful. What I see is, and we'll see, I'll show you, we'll show the example on, what we do a lot of mock preparation, mock and interview preparation, and then we do a lot of CV reviews for our students. And what we have noticed is that they put too much information. For example, they put SQL, PL SQL, and customer is not even asking SQL, PL SQL. They write about Word, or they write about things they've done it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back, which is not at all relevant and not asked in the job description. Don't write things that are irrelevant for the CV. First 1 or 2 pages are very, very important. Highlight what work you have done with respect to the job description. Pick up the job description, and for each job description, prepare a separate CV. That's what we say, not by faking, but highlighting what work you have done with respect to what customer is asking, why you are the best person for that. That is where a CV will be picked. Now, that's only the first step. So make sure that you get maximum, your CV is being picked up. Over to you, Amit. Yep. Sorry, Amit, over to you. If you're speaking.
Is it a full screen now?
Yes, yeah, it is, Amit. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's move further. Okay, with the CV preparation tips. Okay, so first is CV with certifications. So as I mentioned, certifications, they are, the way you are going to learn in the structured way. Okay, you are just don't go for the, having the name of the certification on your CV, but at the same time, you need to basically learn what all the content is there in the certification. So don't just go for the paper certification, but just go for the in-depth certification learning point of view as well. So that is going to be give you the structured learning, and apart from that, it is also going to give you the weightage. The other side of the team will know that, okay, you know about, say, Oracle Cloud Architecture, you know about its component, what all it deals with. So that is how you are going to represent your knowledge with the help of certification. One CV will not be, yeah.
Sorry. So just to add to Amit's point, and sorry again, Amit, I'm going to interrupt because I thought wherever I see people see gaps, and this is where I think the value is as well. So again, there was one question: is the certification going to be enough, or is it required? So first of all, certification is not mandatory, but if you have done the certification and done it for gaining the knowledge, not just for clearing the certification, and then you put your certification that you're certified and put it into your CV, the probability of your CV being picked up will be higher. That doesn't mean that you will get a job. The job will, the interview will decide, the knowledge will decide whether you get a job or not. So CV the certification is one step, your CV being picked up, but what you have done or what you have learned while preparing for the certification will play a key role in clearing the interviews. Over to you, Amit.
And also one more point to add here. Now, if you see the job requirements, they explicitly mention that whether you have done for this or that particular certification or not. So that is also one of the point, because they know that the way to learn is via certification, because everybody is in the job, they won't get time to learn. So certifications are the best way to go on the structured learning. Right. As I mentioned that, okay, one size doesn't fit all. So one CV will not be enough. You need to basically, I'm not saying that you have to fake it, but yes, absolutely, you have to align your CV according to the requirement and what the ask is. Okay, if it is like, say, they are looking for the networking side, then you need to put all the networking details in that. You know about the networking, like, say, the cloud network is having so many components. You might put some or one or two scenarios where you have worked on that, put it as a project there, that, okay, that these were the challenges there and you have faced it. And that is how you are going to display that, okay, you know about the networking. So that is where you know the stuff, but you need to make it align with the requirement and make it get it picked with the higher probability. Whatever your cloud skills are, whatever you have learned, say, based on the foundation, or maybe, on the networking side, or maybe on the architect side, whatever you have learned, put it in the effective way. Okay, don't just put the certification numbers that you have done this or that certification, but better to say that, okay, this is what you have learned, and this is how you are going to focus on that. So that is how you are going to focus on the learnings. Keep your focus on the learning to display your cloud skills, what all it is about your certification journey. Don't just give that, okay, these are the so many certifications you have done. But apart from that, what you have learned from that certification, that should get displayed in your CV. So those are the skills. Yeah.
And then we are going to see that in a minute about the sample CV before and after. How does it look like, and where you can improve as well on that. Over to you, Amit.
Absolutely, yes. Right. Apart from that, put it on your technical skills, what you have learned. Okay, like say, you have worked on the Kubernetes, so put it in the way that, okay, you know about the Kubernetes, the cloud native services, what all services are there. Maybe one or two services you can put it there. Like you have learned on the DevOps and the containerization. Put all those things in the CV, so that the recruiter or the hiring manager will know that, okay, yes, you know about the stuff, you know in and out about the stuff, and that is how you will be the best fit for the position. So they will be picking up your CV based on your technical skills, what you know, what you have learned. Okay, you have to be honest, as mentioned multiple times by me and Atul. Don't fake it, okay, because that is going to land you in trouble. Okay, but apart from that, be confident on what you have done, even if you haven't done it. And if you display the confidence that, okay, yes, you know that thing, but yeah, it is just an extension of what you have learned. It is just an extension. As of now, you haven't done it, but given a chance, you will be able to work on it and can deliver it at the same time. So that is where your honesty plus confidence combination is going to help. And that should be during the session, or maybe when you are getting a call, you might have displayed some skills, but based on that, they are asking that whether you know that or not. And to get interview call, we always try to fake it. Okay, but don't do that. Just say that, okay, you haven't done it, you given a chance, you will be able to deliver that as well. And you have show your learning capabilities too. So that is where your honesty and confidence is going to play a big role in that. Okay.
Amit, just conscious of the time. I want to cover the interview questions as well, but keep it short.
Sure.
Like if you can keep it short and quick. I'll take
Absolutely.
1-2 questions in the meantime, and if there's any questions on coming on later, we need to answer those questions as well. So if you're watching that as a replay, let me know about that as well, guys. So one question is about Marsha is saying difference between functional and technical in Oracle Cloud. So Marsha, functional guys are the guys who work on a software as a service. If you have not attended one of the free classes, that will tell you the difference. Software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure service. We are going to talk about. So there is a separate free class I'm going to tell about at the end. Basically, functional guys work on software as a service. The class that we are doing right now, we are not talking about functional. We are not talking about software as a service. It's more about technical, or we are talking about is more about infrastructure service and platform as a service. Yep. So that today's session may not be useful for you as a functional consultant if you're working on a functional consultant. Sunil, your question, I'm going to work on Oracle database. So how cloud knowledge is going to help? So Sunil, any database you're going to do, Oracle databases, they probably high probability they will be migrating to cloud. So you need to know how do you migrate these databases to cloud? What are the implementation steps? What are the database options that are available on cloud? And all those things you need to learn now as a cloud architect. Over to you, Amit. Yeah, let's move on.
Right. Okay, so you since we know that cloud is evolving, and every now and then some or the other new features are coming, some new technology has been added to the cloud world, and here nobody knows all the things. Everything which is coming to be new is new to everyone. So there, your learning capabilities or your adapting abilities, how you are going to adapt with the new technology, how you can quickly learn it and demonstrate your skill, that is going to play a very powerful role there, and that should be your focal point. Right. So everybody fails, And it's like with me, with Atul as well. I know Atul and me have failed, multiple times during the certification, during the interviews. We haven't cleared it, and that is where. So it's okay to fail. We all do. We all fail, but you have to, again, come up, get up, and be ready for the, know about the gaps and work on it, and be ready for the next interview. So that is where the soft skills are the important one. Okay, where you have to focus a lot. Okay, and be ready. What you are going to tell about yourself. Prepare it. Be confident on that. Okay, and whatever you don't know, don't worry about it, but focus on what you know. Okay, and focus on that. Work on that. Whatever you can do the best during the interview, just give it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I just want to add, guys. I'm not, I'm not shy in saying I failed my, I think, first exam when I did for OCI, and me and Amit were laughing. I still remember a long time back. He cleared the first attempt and I failed, but the next version came. I cleared the first attempt. Amit failed. So it's totally okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be. Every failure will teach you a lesson. When you go for interviews, go as many interviews as possible, even if every interview will teach you a lesson or will tell you where the gaps are, and that's the beauty of it. So don't worry about it. As we said, just try working on. I'll take a couple of other questions, Amit. In the meantime, if you can move on to the next slide. um, so Virat is saying, I want to know what are the skills can be required to keep my job stable in the next 20 years, as I have seen many layoffs also. Virat, absolutely. And that's where I think cloud, as long as you work on the cloud, you're safe for another 10, 15 years. I can't guarantee that, but I've seen that it's very, very infancy stage. As long as you keep learning, the job it should not be a problem, Tapas. Sorry, that was a question from Virat. Yeah, I understand that, especially in the senior management layer, you have to learn this cloud. Yeah. What cloud certification would you prescribe for a person with a function background? It will be totally down to Tapas. Functional is, it depends on whatever functional stream you are in here. I'm going to talk about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Architect because I come from that background, and we are talking about that. Move on, Amit, over to you. Let's move on. I'll have Sunil another questions, and a few other questions are coming. Yeah, let's look at the sample CVs before and after. Yeah.
Right. So before and after, how it is. So this is basically the job requirement. If you see, we need to have an OCI knowledge. Here they are asking for EBS migration to OCI is mandatory. And these are the requirements which is basically they are looking for. So they are looking for an OCI architect, solution architect role, and they are looking for the optimization. They are looking for the database side, storage side. So they are looking for an overall architect here. So this is the job description. Now let's see about the CV.
Okay, no, so just want to add on to that point. This is just one of the sample. It doesn't mean that person should have, in order for someone to learn OCI, they need to learn EBS or they need to know. I'm just giving that as a reference. It could be, someone who a DBA on OCI, or someone who is just a fresher who just want to support, they want someone to support. So see, the job descriptions will differ. Every job description will be different. So don't worry if you don't have that background, you can skip that. That's why I said not every job will be right, but there are hundreds and hundreds of jobs. All you need is a one job. Okay, one right job for you. So we are taking in the context of this job description that may or may not be applicable for you. There was another question, what I need to do as a fresher. Someone asking, can I learn as a fresher? Absolutely. We'll give you the roadmap. I'm going to talk about the roadmap. That's why we have a lot of interview questions, and I think we are short on time. So Amit, just highlight key points from there, and then over to you, Amit. Yeah.
Right. So right here, if you see the before CV, like, earlier how it was, like it has got an 18 years of experience. If we analyze that about the SQL performance tuning and all that has been mentioned here, the installation configuration of OBI is mentioned here, planning, FDME, DRM. So lot many skills. A person knows about many things. Okay. But now, whether all these skills are required, is this the ask from the job description, whether this is needed or not? So let's analyze this and see a bit here. Okay, like once we have analyzed it and we have put the things in a different way, how it looks like. So this is like I am having a 19 years of plus experience. Here it has been mentioned about the provisioning, configuration, maintaining the database in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which a person knows about it but haven't put it in the CV and put it in the traditional way of, like, what he knows, and with various other stuff he knows. So nobody is asking that what all you know, but whether the job requirement, what is there, whether you know related to that or not. So that is what the ask is. Okay, and that is where all these things has been aligned here according to the job requirement.
Yeah, so if you go, Amit, if you go back to the previous screen or previous slide, so if you look at they were asking about any OCI knowledge. There's no OCI knowledge being written here, and the CV was shared as it is. They were talking about OBI. There was no ask for the OBI. Similarly, there was no requirement about some of the things that are required, and nothing about OCI. So you could have put in same thing, but with the implementation of how these are done in OCI point. So that's the important thing. Otherwise, so I hope that makes sense. Are you guys making? Is it making sense? If you go to the next one, put in the chat window, guys. Is it making sense as well or not? Yep. So these are points which you should be focusing. So if I look at the job description, it's talking about e-business suite and OCI. So I need to write, I've done provisioning and configuration of e-business suite or databases and e-business suite databases on OCI. I've done high availability. I've done disaster recovery. There's a DR solutions. There is a SAN and NAS. There was a requirement about storage area network and NAS. Those are I've highlighted onto the board as well. So those are the things that you should be highlighting so that a person can see this CV looks similar to what I was looking for. Over to you.
Right. So if you see here, this is basically the aligned with the current job requirement, and all the things are mentioned here about the clusters, about all the requirement related to the e-business suite. So this gives me an indication that a person knows about the e-business suite and is also having a knowledge of the cloud as well. So running EBS on OCI is what is required. Right. So if we see the review here, so there are good things on the CV in the old format, that 18 years of old experience and experience in a lot of technologies. But what could be avoided is the repetitive words. Okay, the repetitive keywords about like what is needed. The installation configuration was multiple times, placed in multiple, projects there. What best is the things which was missing was in the CV is the OCI knowledge and the EBS knowledge. So you need to basically add both the things according to the requirement of the job, and then that is where your CV will be becomes more than 90% match there. Okay, and yes, good to have your certifications or whatever awards or whatever good you have done it in your organization. It is always going to help you out in to know you and to know your personality as well. Right. So as per the second
Amit, yeah. Amit, let's move on to the next one. I think I want to focus on the interview questions, so that because there are a couple of interview questions.
Sure.
Guys, I'm extremely sorry for this CV review. I think just because of the shortage time, I didn't realize that it's going to take that long. Next time, I probably might plan it a little bit better. So we want to cover the interview questions. Amit, if you can jump onto the interview questions, some of the common interview questions from an OCI point of view, please.
All right.
I'll cover these slides.
Okay. So these are the common interview questions. Yeah. You want to cover it, or should I proceed?
Yeah, no, you can carry on, and I'll be adding. So the first and the most important thing probably you should be doing is tell if you have not worked on OCI, and probably I'll tell you how you can work on OCI and how can you prepare for these interviews and how can do a mock interview as well as mock kind of an implementation that you can do. But the architecture deployment is very, very important. You need to know what are the deployment options are available in cloud for different type of application. If you're migrating a application, what kind of a deployment it looks like. So what your architecture look like onto the cloud. So that's important. Amit is going to cover that. So first is prepare yourself what architecture you had in your implementation and what are the common challenges you had. Every interviewer or most of the interviewer will ask that question. Over to you, Amit.
Right. So what are the architecture deployment patterns you have worked on? If you see this kind of architecture, these are like, the 3-tier deployment architecture on which you have worked it. Say you have a database tier, you have an application tier, and end users are having connected. You are directly connecting to the application, or they are connecting to the load balancer. So this is like what kind of deployment patterns. So it is a 2-tier architecture, it is a 3-tier architecture, or it is a client server architecture. So what kind of architecture you have worked on? So you should be always focusing whenever you have done any kind of deployment or you have worked even like in your past as well with your projects. Always focus on the architecture, like what kind of architecture it is, because that is the first thing every interviewer will be discussing or starting with, that what all you have worked on and what kind of architecture it is. So always focus on the architecture part, that what it is, okay, and what are the services there which you can use it. So you need to align that with the cloud, and you need to basically prepare yourself. So that is the first point, or say the most common question which comes during the interview.
So just to add to Amit's point, if you need to map it up, like those who are preparing for OCI who are already working or need to work, things like concepts like availability domain, region, fault domain, how does the network look like, VCN, subnets, connectivity with on-premise, which is like IPsec, VPN tunnel, fast connect, how do you do backups, how do you do patching, how do you handle security, how do you do disaster recovery within a region, how do you do disaster recovery across region, how do you deploy HA, all those things you should be at least familiar with, because you should be able to answer these confidently. Again, how you can learn all this, what are the path you should be doing, how you can learn in this 8 weeks, how do you also do the hands-on lab, so that when you go to the interview, you've already done these things like the actual implementation. I'm going to talk about that shortly. Over to you, next one. So this is the architecture pattern you should be familiar with, at least comfortable with. Over to you, Amit.
Okay, the next is like there is a huge amount of data which needs to be transferred from on-premise to cloud. Now, what all options you have, because that is where they will come to know that whether practically you have worked on it or whether you are faking it. Okay, so the important part is how you are going to transfer the data or transfer the large amount of data. Okay, so there are multiple ways in which we can transfer, the offline way and the online way. So even like over the internet or over connecting via VPN. So you should know about like how you are going to transfer the data. Is it like over the secure channel? So how the VPN setup is done. Okay, not all in detail, because that is basically worked with the networking team. How the offline and the online data transfer happens. What are the services, the data transfer services available in OCI, if say you are working on the OCI. So what all the options are there, you need to be aware of it, and what are the capacities through which the data can be transferred. So that is what you need to know. You need to cover that, and you need to learn about all those.
Yeah, so just to add this point, most of these implementations happening currently are migrating from on-premise to cloud, and the data migration is the biggest question they have. And this was when I did my first project migrating, one of the biggest migrations here in the UK for health services. All the data, we have terabytes of data, and we only had, I think, 4 or 5 hours of downtime to migrate terabytes. I think 50 to 60 terabytes of data with almost zero downtime. Just we had a very limited downtime in terms of for that. So how do you do that offline, online model, disaster recovery site implementation, and so on. Over to you, next one, Amit. Yep. Pradeep has just one question, and I know I'm sorry to interrupt Amit on that. I have a lot of questions. Amit, can you extend 15 minutes, or you're okay, or you're busy on this, because these questions are pretty nice. If you can't, that's totally fine. I can cover these questions.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. Now, Pradeep is saying, I have 6 years of PL SQL developer, currently working as an EBS R12. How can I move to cloud? So, Pradeep, if you can hold on, I'm going to cover that. I'm also giving you a step-by-step roadmap of 8 week, including extensive hands-on lab, how you can all know all these things. So, stay tuned on to this class. Over to you, Amit.
Yeah. So, next is like, what strategy do you follow, or what are the best practices for the network layout on the cloud? So I have seen, somebody was asking there was a question that I am from the networking background, how I can, get into cloud, or what all is there for me in the cloud. So here is like, what we have. If you are from the networking background, you will be the first person to which, everybody is going to be dependent on, because you are the person who is going to lay down the complete network layout before the implementation. So that is where we need it. So we need to have a network design, how you map your on-prem or say the traditional architecture with the cloud, because it is very much similar there. But yes, to control it, to manage it, definitely a network expertise is needed. Okay, so we need to have that network layout, or how you are going to control the firewalls, what are the options, how you can do the deployment, the public and the private internet, how you are going to decide on the CIDR, how you are going to connect to the storage for the backup. So these are the points which is where the network engineer needs to come into play. Along with that, the solution architect is also going to work hand in hand in parallel. So knowledge on the networking side is very much important, and believe me, in our training sessions, networking is the module which takes lots and lots of time, and I hope Atul also agrees with that.
Yeah, and one thing I want to tell you is that I had a misbelief of myself, and again, this is I'm talking about my insecurities. When I started in cloud, I said I was very very nervous because I had knew nothing about networking. Trust me, but it's it's so easy once you know the basic concepts, and there are a couple of things probably which can easily picked up. So don't let yourself stop your mind say that, oh, I can't do it, or I'm not a network engineer. As a cloud engineer, you have to have these basic concepts. I don't want you to become an expert in networking, but at least the familiarity with the basic concepts, that is important. And that's also will help you if you want to do multi-cloud, as I did. Multi-cloud, you have to have the networking, and you can pick up very very easily. One question I'm coming is Rehan is saying huge data transfer, how to, which skills are required. So as long as you have the understanding of what are the data transfer options are available, how do you then, and the architecture. And there are a couple of tips which are because of the shortened time, I'm not going to go in detail, but very quickly I'll tell you, Rehan, is that you can use the data transfer appliances that are come. If you have a fast line, which is a dedicated line, which is called as fast connect, which is a dedicated network pipe, you can transfer it over the a dedicated line as well. In the program Amit was talking, and I'm going to talk about that. We cover all these things in detail, in depth. That's why we have thousands of students who have not only learned it but are implementing these things on cloud. We have done these things in and out, so we can guide and help. Over to you, Amit. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah.
Right. So another thing is, what are the HA and the DR options which are available for application and the database in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? Okay. So each, if you see the designing strategy, like high availability and the disaster recovery, is one of the main requirement for any design. So you should be knowing about, like, the availability domains, the region, as Atul have mentioned. So you should know about it, that how these regions and the availability domain you can utilize it. Okay, so that is where the high availability comes into picture. So high availability is basically, even if your instance is down, it should not, down the business. Okay, your business should be should be continuous. So that is where you need to plan for the single point of failure, point out, like, okay, this is going to be a single point of failure. Try to avoid those things during the design phase. So for that, you should know about, like, what are the services which are available in cloud, what are the regions, what are the fault domains, what are the availability domains. So that is going to help you in designing the architecture related to the high availability and the disaster recovery. So these are like the common questions which during the interview you might come across, and these are the one which we have also faced it.
Yeah, so someone might say, hey, you are deploying the rack database. What are the database options that you'll select in order to deploy the rack? Can you do rack across? If you have not built a rack on cloud, you may not understand it, but you should be able to build it on a rack within probably 10-15 minutes. We have videos available on our YouTube channel. In the programs, we cover that, and we guide as well. One question I was coming from YouTube, my team have forwarded me from Pranabase. He's from YouTube, saying, what is the right path for AppsDB? So what you see architecture here, Pranabase, is an e-business suite deployment on Oracle Cloud deployment. So for AppsDB's future is Oracle Cloud. Pick up if you have not started all the new implementations, all the new migrations of on-premise, wherever there's a hardware refresh start happening, all those jobs are moving towards cloud. So e-business suite on cloud. Next one, Amit. Mastan is saying, I'll take one more question. So we'll pick up the questions. And Mastan, I have 13 plus years of experience. How can I move to OCI workload as build, porting, automation, or manual queue engineering? With the knowledge of OCI, Ansible, and Python, please guide. Brilliant question. So I think, Mastan, I would suggest you take in phases. Don't try to learn everything in one go. First thing is you need to understand the basic concept, the 5 things I said earlier. especially from your point of view, workload movement is an important thing. Then understand the databases, understand the applications, understand the networking and the migration part. Once you have done it manually, then you can start looking at automating. And there are two things will come into picture if you were looking for automation. Terraform, which is infrastructure as a code, which was asked earlier, and then Ansible is to deploy any configurations. Again, that's a next level, which is automating the cloud, which we do in our in our Terraform and Ansible program. I'm not going to cover this, but that's the next level for Mastan. But good question. Okay, over to you, Amit. Next, move on.
Okay, so on the database side, what are the deployment options to deploy the Oracle database in Oracle Cloud? Okay, and that is where it comes. So you should know about the portfolio of like the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure databases, like what all the databases are there, the autonomous database you can run it on the Vmdb, the bare metal system, rack database, where all you can run it. Okay, so that you should be aware of. Apart from that, which database should be the best fit where. So these are the things, like you cannot use the VM database each and everywhere, okay, depending on the size, depending on the capabilities or so you need to basically understand each and everything, how it is, the Exadata cloud at customer, where it should be used, the Exadata cloud services, where it should be used. So Oracle has got a very rich database portfolio. Now these are the Oracle database. Apart from that, Oracle also supports the MySQL server. Oracle also supports the NoSQL server. So those things also you should be aware of, like so that during the decision point of time, you should be the first one to say that, okay, hey, this database is not the best fit, so we should go for the other services. So that is where you need to understand that, and this is one of the very common question which you will get it during the interview.
Yeah, the deployment options are important. What you do, which type of database you will pick up for what applications. To give a tips, AppsDB is currently autonomous database is not supported with eBusiness Suite if you're an AppsDB, but that's coming for support sooner. So stay tuned on that if you're an AppsDB, Oracle eBusiness Suite DBAs like me or others. Amit, if you can go to the last question now about the rack. I'll take one question from Sunil T is saying, cloud keeps updating. Is your course too updated to the latest version, or it covers most of the main topics? No, Sunil, what we are very proud of is our course is constantly updating. There's no point in learning or teaching or we keeping a program which is outdated. So we constantly keep updating. So for example, there's one question I was supposed to cover, DRG, Dynamic Routing Gateway, has gone a big transformation from a networking concepts. We are redoing the whole module now in the current batch, which is going to start soon. So we are redoing the whole thing, and we invite, that's why we have unlimited retake over the next 1 year. Keep coming. You can keep updating as with the program. You have lifetime access to the programs, and you keep updating as the program updates, and keep your up to date. Yeah.
Right.
One more question.
One point I want to add here is like our OCI architect course is like, we just cover the whatever is required for the exam, but whatever the new services are coming, we also cover that. Okay, whatever, whether it is a part of exam or not, but yes, we keep the services, our presentations and the discussions, keep on updating it, and that is where we get a lot of feedbacks on that, a positive feedback.
Indeed. And just to add, it's not just for certification, but for main important is job, and certification will automatically pick up. You'll be able to clear certifications with very little help, as long as you do all the hands-on lab that we recommend, and we help you with the labs. I'm going to take one more question, and then after that, Amit, over to you, and then we'll bring what is the roadmap, what all things you should be learning, in what order you should be learning. I'll be taking about as well. So Rehan, your question, DevOps in Oracle Cloud. Please explain, if you want to go in this field further, how do we implement or get advantage of Oracle Linux Automation Manager in OCI? So Oracle Linux Automation Manager is a common thing that we'll be doing. That's something you have to do. That's something obvious thing. DevOps is a methodology on which you can deploy. So whatever you learn, understand the concepts, then you use DevOps methodology to do CI/CD, automate that using continuous integration, continuous deployment of. So that's again common thing. This is Rehan. And again, you can use any DevOps tool, like you can use Oracle DevOps, you can use your other DevOps Jenkins like or you can use any DevOps methodology. That's obvious these days. Yeah. Over to you, Amit.
Right, and even Oracle DevOps, professional certification, Oracle has launched it because Oracle has enhanced the DevOps services, with the integrations and all. So there are a lot many things to cover there as well.
Sure. So Rehan, for DevOps, I think if you share or leave an email address, we have DevOps for my team will help you with the further if you want to go DevOps in cloud. Yeah, we don't do DevOps of Oracle Cloud is not that mature, but will guide you others. So we connect with my team and they will help you. Yeah.
Right.
Now, over to you, Priyanka. Final question.
Final one, that whether you can deploy multiple databases on a single Vmdb. So Vmdb is basically one of the database deployment option in Oracle Cloud. And the here ask is whether you can deploy one or more database on the Vmdb. Okay, and if you, so here is where they will come to know that whether you have actually worked on the Oracle Cloud or not. And if you see here, this is the options of the portfolio of Oracle: Vmdb, bare metal, and Exadata. And number of DB instances on the Vmdb is one only. That means you can only deploy one database on a Vmdb. Okay, you can have multiple virtual machine database, but on one virtual machine database, you can only deploy one database. You can't have multiple database there. But on the other hand, on the other portfolio services, if you see the bare metal and the Exadata, you can run multiple databases on the same Exadata box. So that is where the difference comes. And this is one of the question which I have faced it, and that is where I have put it here. Right. So Atul, from here, I hand it over to you.
Great. So just one question, just to add here, Exadatas, you can run multiple databases on one Exadata machine. Similarly, on bare metal, you can run multiple databases. But on virtual machine DB system, technically you can create multiple databases, but that won't be supported, and so on. So these are the things which we go, once you have the basic understanding, you can go on deeper. Rehan is saying, great, Atul, you've always been helpful since 2008 when I was an AppCBA. Thank you very much. Rehan, for you, if you want to work on DevOps, I think for DevOps, I would suggest either go for AWS or Azure DevOps. And I want to be transparent. I don't want to do something that is much more mature. AWS or Azure DevOps are much more mature than Oracle DevOps. Oracle is picking up very fast on OCI and Cloud DBA point of view. Suvidipta is saying, are all of these courses interactive? How the classes, practicals classes would be conducted? I'm going to cover that as well. Yes, all these are interactive. Today, you're not able to unmute because we have a big group. But in the actual live, it's a smaller group, 25 guys limit, and where you can unmute yourself, CPS, you will have ask questions, and not only just during the live sessions, but also WhatsApp support, everything I'm going to cover that as well. I'll also going to do the roadmap. Amit, if you can make me presenter, and I'm going to talk about now the roadmap as well. And any questions, guys, if you still have any questions which I've not answered, please make sure that you ask my team. I'll give you an opportunity on how you can ask those questions as well. Okay, let me know once you can see my screen, Amit, or yeah. So guys, this is a learning path. We have mentioned here as 8 days, but typically we do 1 day per week because I'm assuming most of the guys are working, but I'm assuming even if you're not working, I think give yourself 1 week per module or per day. When we say day, it's a week. So it's 8-week roadmap. You begin with OCI basic concepts, OCI and cloud concept. Understand cloud service model like SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. You learn cloud deployment model, public, private, hybrid. Start with basic concepts. Understand basic like architecture. In order for you to deploy high availability, things like region, availability domain, and fault domain will come into handy. Then you perform hands-on labs, like create a free trial account, and then understand the console. How does console look like? If any of you want to see the console, we are more than happy to see, but you can create your own account and do that. Also, identity and access management. You look at users, groups, policies, compartment. Now, one thing I've changed recently, that earlier there used to be called Identity Cloud Service, IDCS. That IDCS is now merged into OCI in the concept of identity domain. So if you're already part of our cloud training program, come into this. Amit have already covered in the briefly touch base last batch when it initially announced, Oracle announced. Now we are going to do the hands-on lab on how you can incorporate identity domain and use it like test dev UAT environments and integrate with your Fusion ERP and so on for identity and access management point. Then you understand the networking, all the networking concepts. And networking is very, very important and key. So things like all the things that we mentioned, but when you perform the hands-on lab, you will understand. So how do you create a VCN using 𝐷𝐻𝑍, and also create VCN and its subcomponents manually? Because when you create them manually, then you understand the things behind them. So like, how do you configure routing or routing? How do you configure network security group, security list? What are actually they mean? Don't get yourself overwhelmed. As I said, when I started, I think a couple of years back, I knew nothing about. And I'm to a position where I've not only done it, implemented it, but have also been helping hundreds and thousands of students to learn all this. Not only learn, get certified, get a job, and they're doing pretty good into implementations as well. Like what are the IP addresses? How do you assign IP addresses? How do you assign public IP addresses? And so on. Then you go for network connectivity in terms of how do you connect with the on-premise. There was a question earlier, someone asking, how do we migrate the data, big, like huge amount of data? And that is where fast connect comes into picture, dedicated pipe. So you do labs of how to configure site-to-site VPN. How do you connect to networks within region, across regions? How do you configure load balancers, application load balancer? And recently a new thing came, network load balancer. We're going to talk about and doing labs for that as well. And then more advanced network connectivity. Then in compute, how do you create virtual machines, both Windows and Linux? And not only that, how do you attach storage and different type of storage we were earlier discussing, block storage, objects, or the file storage. And then how do you do backup and restore onto the object storage? The storage is a big topic as well. How do you configure all these and then do these hands-on labs for this? Then databases, different type of databases on Exadata cloud service, virtual machine DB system. How do you create these databases? How do you do the database lifecycle management stuff? And then, as I said, security is important. And a lot of new features came like Cloud Guard, Security Advisor, Bastion services, hands-on lab performing these. And then finally, you do prepare for certification. We give you sample exam questions. We help you with CV preparation, on-job support, and then project work, like all these labs, and then give you a demo project, like on a real life type of implementations that we are doing, so that you can implement as a project work. And then when you learn all these things, probably a couple of weeks before you come to this point, start applying for the job so you can see interviews. We give you the mock interviews and so on for this. So these are the 30+ hands-on lab. These are step-by-step instructions, videos given on the portal, as well as immediately available for you. So like Oracle Cloud Basic Concepts, Identity and Access Management, networking, all these labs, different labs for networking. Then on compute, someone was asking about OS management, automation. How do you do the operating system management of Unix or Windows? So there's a feature called OS management. We cover that. Auto scaling. As load increases, automatically add another node automatically. As the load decreases, remove that machine. How do you configure these storage? How do you attach block volume? How do you create buckets? How do you upload multi-part if you're uploading in bulk? How do you replicate policies? How do you do the replication so that bucket, when it becomes older, or when the data becomes older, automatically move into the lower price item as well on that, and so on. Then how do you create databases? How do you do security, configure logging, Bastion service, monitoring, setting alarm, and then, as I said, mock interviews, prepare for the exam, project work, and then prepare, help with your CV preparation and so on. Now, we don't just talk, we believe in result, and there is a lot of success stories, lots and lots of guys who have done these things before you have done. And I'm talking about as back as 2018. When and before that there was another certification. The certification used to look different. It used to be, I think I forgot the name, 932 or something, very, very old certification. But this is, I'm talking about since 2018. It's not just certification. What is important is the job. And again, I'm not going to go deep, but this is some of the guys who have got the job and have shared in our WhatsApp group. As a part of the program, you get WhatsApp group as well, access to the WhatsApp groups. And then in there, people share their success stories. This is here from Khadar. I've got 2 more offer letters from Wipro and Wishwork. Dinesh, he's working as a technical program manager now. Got a job. I got a job as a technical program manager on cloud. Kamla, she's based in UK, as working as now, got an offer as a cloud data architect. Just received an offer and joined as a bank in LA. So we do a free class where we talk about and we go a little bit not too deep, but to understand whatever I covered onto this, which is K21Academy.com/OCI02. The question is, how do I learn all these things which I've said about these roadmap? How do I learn all this in depth? And this is where I think we have a program. If you want to learn all this quickly, get a high paid job with an expert like guys like Amit and me who have gone this journey before you have done and implemented. There are 25 seats. We go with extensive hands-on labs and with exam preparation, CV on job. And the important point is that for limited time, we are giving a fundamental or foundation certification as well free. That's will help you to clear concepts. It's not mandatory for the job, but it will clear your concepts. You'll get that as well for a limited time as well. Now, what makes us different? We have, as I said, we have trained more than 10,000 plus individuals, and in the last few years we have grown extensively. And what makes us different from others are, that's first and the most important thing, is very, very important. And I think if time permits, I might share my story. I struggled when I was learning cloud back in 2014-15, that no one is available and still date who can provide the necessary job support. Everyone will give you training, and after that they don't know you, you don't know them. But the actual journey begins when you're on the job. Once you get a job, which you will get for sure if you do all the hands-on lab that I'm recommending. And that's why we get free on-job support for the 1 year. We also give you unlimited retake over the next 1 year. You have lifetime access to the program, but you can come back again and again. That 1 year should be more than enough for you to learn. 8 weeks are more than enough, but some people want to learn, come back again and again. I wish I had that something. And all these things are coming from my own. When I was learning all these things, I felt someone should do that, and I couldn't find anyone. That's why I started my own on this. There'll be weekly live interactive session. As I said, everything is available immediately on the portal for you, and I'm going to show you how does portal look like as well. But then on top of that, there'll be weekly live interactive session where you jump on the call on a weekly basis with me, Amit, and my team as well. You learn all these concepts. There'll be videos and activity guide, step by step. You can learn at your own pace as well. What we are also proud of is not only that we have a WhatsApp group where we invite all the previous members are there or colleagues of yours, and there'll be a ticketing system for most of the things are immediately answered using WhatsApp. Some issues might take longer, and that's where the ticketing system will come handy. And you will get a ticket number, so you can track progress, you can make us accountable, and so on. There'll be post-session recording, all the batches we have done till now, or including as it goes to good couple of years back as well. If you want to recap and you want to see what was done maybe 2 months back, 6 months back, 1 year back, and how it has changed or transformed, you can always. So you have lifetime access to those recordings as well. As I said, step-by-step hands-on lab, and we go with 2 missions. Whatever is the objective, whether it's certification or a job or both, will not let you go or will not leave you till both the objectives are met in the shortest possible time without compromising the quality. And I'm not in favor of you learning hundreds and hundreds of things if you're not using them. But learn what is required now, and then important now, and keep learning on the job as you need more and more. So how quickly you can get the result without compromising the quality, without cutting corners, and learn it like an expert. That's the mission. That's the objective which I work with. This is how the program looks like. And as I said, there are extensive modules. We keep modifying and we keep updating these modules. But then these are step-by-step presentations, videos available in the portal, and short, crisp, to the point. This is in addition to the live sessions, because when you come to the live, we want you to go through these so that when you come to the live session, you already know a lot, so that you can ask questions, more intelligent questions, or more healthy discussions where you can say why this or why not that, and so on. There'll be step-by-step guides, videos, and then exam questions, sample exam questions for your certifications available in the portal. And this is how the questions will be with their explanation as well. So for example, which of the 2 resources are regional, which means that will dictate whether you can do within region, within across regions. So there's a images or volumes or compartment, and there's an explanation as well on each of these examples here. Another exam question might be, or what are the two regional resources? Okay, I think I've already covered these. These probably might be, but like that, there are hundreds of questions on for exams. Now, again, everyone will say that their product is best, but what we are proud is our students say, this is what our students say, that look, excellent trainings, just amazing. For best thing is K21 is made you hungry for again for knowledge after 10 to 15 years. And I'm all passionate. I do it not for money, for passion, because for money I've earned a lot already. I'll wrap it up with my success story, but to inspire you and take some few key takeaways from today's session and how you can, if you want to learn. And I've never ever imagined in my life what I can, that I could do something like that. And I want to, like, basically, as I said, take this session from here, that constant learning as well. I'll show about as well. So I have lot of, I can go on and on and on about these success stories. And that's what makes us, I feel, that inspires me to do more and more. After every session, we ask for the feedback and we say, if we can improve something, we will do that. So we usually get 5-star rating on each of these, 5 out of 5 ratings of these sessions as well. Job offers, I've said, I don't want to bore you, but this is to inspire. It's possible. If you have any myth, or if you're struggling to get a job in cloud or anywhere, I think you need to focus on 2 things: your CV, and once you're getting the interview calls, if you're not clearing the interview, then it's knowledge. These are 2 things. You should be able to do that. This is Rajshekhar, Rajlakshmi, sorry, and she had a gap, and in spite of that, she was nervous and she was saying, "Oh, I have a gap," and I said, all these are myths. As long as you have the knowledge, nothing will speak. Everything is all fine. And she, after a couple of months, said, remember, I had a break in my career and I had an in-person interview and I was confident on the technical part, and she got into Infosys in US. Dinesh, I've already mentioned. Vinay, I've cracked 2 companies interview. Thanks for the powerful coaching. Tolu, 2 of us today. I can go on and on and on and on. So I wish, if you want to go deeper, and the program, price, everything, a lot of things I've already mentioned, but if you want, you can go into this OCI 02. So K21Academy.com/OCI 02 is a free class. You can register, you can pick up a date, enter your name, email address, where we talk about, we give you a little bit background about, it's mainly targeted for beginners, cloud service model, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. We talk about region and availability domain concept I've covered. We briefly touch base with region and availability domain. We also look at the networking concept, about what is a VCN, subnet, and so on. I've already covered this 8-week roadmap. We'll repeat that in this here, and we'll be also talking about the program, which will be starting soon on that. If you want to speak to my team, or if you're interested, let my team know. And one thing, as I said, is for me, how this all started. I'll tell you my story, as I said, probably, and then we'll wrap it up. So this is me numbers. Let me go back onto my story, which I started on it again. So this is me, I think, back in a couple of years back. And when I say to everyone, this is me doing 40,000 a month, $40,000. This is not to show off and not to brag. And a lot of guys don't believe. This is me when I learned cloud back in learn. I think I started doing it 2014, 15. And immediately after, once I learned this, it took me, I think, around 3 months on our second contract. But this is me numbers in 2015. Just immediately, I think a couple of months after doing an implementation, 900 pounds GBP a day. I could have never ever imagined. And I draw now a lot more than what you see on the screen. But this is, again, not to show off or not to brag or do, but show you what's possible. What's possible. In fact, when I started my journey, I started with $100 a day. Sorry, $100 a month. Sorry, $100 a month, which was my salary, 8,000 rupees. I come from India. And my first 5 years were very, very tough for me. And now I draw that, whatever I should draw in a year, I draw in a day now. Again, I want to repeat one more time. This is not to brag or show off, but to show you what's possible. Couple of years back, if you would have asked me in 2008, 9 or 2004, 5, I would have never imagined this, that I could do. So, but what I've done is I've constantly, and it's not me only, Amit and a lot of our, lot of like me who have done this. But one thing is common, that we all constantly learn. If you see here, I started, something changed here. I'm going to talk about that in my free class as well, other free class. But something changed here back in 2004-5, that when I realized, hey, you have to constantly upgrade and learn. And that changed the trajectory for my life. And if you look at, I started then learning security. I did my Oracle Fusion Middleware with identity management integration, e-business suite integrations. I learned Oracle Cloud, another game changer. And I thought I was happy, but then someone told me that, hey, don't just limit yourself to Oracle Cloud, but do other cloud as well, AWS and Azure. I do now multi-cloud, total game changer. But couple of mantras, keep learning on a daily basis, keep upgrading every couple of months or every couple of, maybe every year, pick up a new skill, add, not totally random, but add on top of. Someone is asking about, begin with cloud, maybe do automation, maybe do DevOps, maybe do Kubernetes, maybe do multi-cloud, and so on. So with that, I want to wrap it up, and thank you everyone, each one of you who are part here. Again, this is a roadmap, which I said is, if you want to go, a beginner can do, fresher can do as well. Let me take one or two questions, and then after that we'll wrap up. Shivans, anything for you? Juan is saying, how does OCA compare with technical standpoint with Azure? It's pretty much same, Juan. If you know one cloud, you can pick up other cloud very, very easily, like OCA cloud. So I'll give you some examples, and I think that's a very good point on you've raised. So you have virtual network, VNet. Here you called VCN. There you have subnet is common. There you have express route. Here you have fast connect. Site-to-site VPN is same. The database services are slightly different. So conceptually, if you know one cloud, picking up second cloud is very, very easy. In fact, now there is a tie-up between Oracle and Microsoft. We are adding that bonus class where we do a Oracle database through Microsoft Azure. So applications running on Microsoft Azure and databases running on Oracle Cloud, already integrated with these two multi-cloud. OCI covers Exadata features. So we cover some Exadata features on OCI. So but not everything on Exadata. Exadata, if you want to focus on just on Exadata, there's a separate program for this. The big three. Yep.
Sir, there is one particular question that I think we should really pick up. A lot of people are here coming after doing their bachelor's. I've seen a few comments on YouTube as well, people coming here while they're doing their masters as well, and they want to start their career in Oracle with the kind of experience that you and Amit sir have. What would be your tips for those people who are just starting out?
Good. So this is the common question which we get is, okay, if I have to look back at, and I have my cousins, I have my niece, I have my nephew, and my second generation, I'm 43 now. So my new guys are coming and they ask me, so which one we should pick? Is it AWS, is it Azure, is it Oracle? And I want to be transparent with you that if you are already working on Oracle, then it's always beneficial to pick Oracle first. That's what I did. Okay, if you have nothing knowledge, nothing about Oracle, nothing about Oracle, and if you have to pick up one cloud, I would suggest, and again, Amit and will not like it, and I know I may not like it, but I think pick up AWS or Azure. Number one is AWS. Azure is picking up. Oracle is good in if you are already working as a DBA, apps DBA. If you want to know more about AWS or Azure, connect with my team. I think the contact ID, K21Academy.com/WhatsApp, and they will guide you further on AWS or Azure. On that point. So I hope that makes sense, especially for those who are freshers who know nothing about cloud. I started with Oracle Cloud, and I would recommend if anyone is working on Oracle DBA, apps DBA, or have already working on other cloud and want to do multi-cloud, then with Exadata Cloud Service, Exadatas, their Vmdb systems and their databases, Oracle is leader in database, and there are a lot of applications who are still untapped. I think that I've answered. There are still a lot of questions which I've not, because of the time constraint. I think I'll need to wrap up. Those who are interested, want to know more about, want to speak to my team, ping on my team onto WhatsApp, K21Academy.com/WhatsApp. If you can put it to the chat window for everyone. I'll take one or two questions and we'll wrap up. We are already late. I think we are 30 minutes late over board, but I think, was it good? Any questions that you want to cover, and anything else in future if you want us to cover, that will be helpful as well. What topics that you want us to cover in OCI? We are thinking of doing a mock kind of a practical that we cover in the program on a high level. So let me know if that will be. Suvadipta is saying, will Exadata concepts will be covered? Yes, we are going to cover Exadata concepts, but if you have to go deeper into Exadata, there is a separate program called like a cloud database, upgrading from Oracle database to Cloud DBA. Suvadipta. But yes, Exadata concepts will be covered. The database options will be covered. So if I tell you, let me go back onto the. Yeah. So if you look at on here, we are going to cover from a databases. Exadata, what are the services that are available in Exadata, Exadata Clouded Customer, Exadata Cloud Service, what are the tools that you use, and patching and cloning. But that is an overview and understanding from an Exadata point of view. Yep. So there's one module about on all the databases. Yeah. Exadata concept will be covered. You're right, absolutely. Okay, I think that's pretty much from my side. Anything from let's wrap it up. And thank you very much. Oh, one thing I forgot completely. Sorry. There is also a Telegram group we have for those who are part of those who are already part of paid program. Guys, we'll be starting the OCI. So ping on WhatsApp group. But let me tell you the Telegram group. Hold on 1 second. This is the Telegram group. Yeah. So the URL is K21Academy.com/Oracle community. If you're not on this Oracle community, join that. There were two questions was if I'm a SQL PL SQL developer. If you're a SQL PL SQL developer, OCI will also help because underlying it's Oracle Cloud. But you can also look at Oracle Integration Cloud OIC for developers who are working on SQL developer and PL SQL developer or functional or techno-functional. There were, I think, a couple of questions related to techno-functional. So K21Academy.com/Oracle community. Thank you very, very much, guys. And Amit, anything from your side? We'll wrap it up otherwise.
No, I'm good. It was like, a good session, and I can see a lot of questions and the interactions were coming. So yeah.
Thanks, Amit, and brilliant job. Okay, take care, guys, and thanks so much. Thanks, Rakhi, Pratibha. And Rakhi, if you can see if any questions being missed, probably pick up and help the students, please. Thank you. So Vidita, if you reach out to my team, they will help you. K21Academy.com/WhatsApp, if you can ping them. So if you go to K21Academy.com/WhatsApp, it will open up the WhatsApp. You'll connect with my team and they will tell you everything about schedule and all these things. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.